Inspired by the life of the savvy and ambitious Colombian businesswoman Griselda Blanco comes a new Netflix original limited series. Griselda tells the story of a devoted mother who, with her lethal blend of charm and relentless savagery, creates one of the most powerful cartels in history. Witness Sofia Vergara's captivating transformation into the godmother of the underworld. Griselda, now streaming only on Netflix.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of Before My Time. I am your host, Kelsey Laurie, and I am joined with our co-host, producer, and friend, Matt Kelly, and he is going to tell us a little bit about the history of, how'd you guess, the Addams Family. Let's do it.
We're here to entertain you. We'll sing your songs for good times. The best times, you can't go wrong. We'll two-step, a new step, it won't be long. When the Dixielanders are playing, soon you'll be swaying, so come on, sing along.
So, at the time that we were recording this, there was supposed to already be the Wednesday Addams Netflix show. It's been pushed to November. I don't know why. I've got no real theories.
It makes perfect sense, Matt. They were trying to line it up. If you watch the Addams Family Values, the kids go to camp and they do a full Thanksgiving production. And so it makes sense. Like, the Addams Family is clearly tied to Thanksgiving now.
That is true. Yes, it's when people think of Thanksgiving, they think of Addams Family and Friends. Those are the most famous people with Thanksgiving connections.
You know, I'm not a Friends person. It's fine. I just didn't watch it. So I'm like, what? It is?
About a year ago, we had the 30-year anniversary of the original Tim Burton movie coming out. And to celebrate that, I put together a video with someone from Geekscape that was about the history of the Addams Family.
Wait, it was not a Tim Burton film.
Sorry. You're correct. It was Barry
Sonnenfeld.
There we go, Sonnenfeld.
No, I was like, no.
Yeah, the 90s Addams Family movies. I've already got a ton of research done on what the Addams Family is all about. So I covered the Munsters 2 weeks ago. Feels like it's appropriate to cover their counterpart, the Addams Family, since we're still in spooky season.
We are in spooky season.
So let's start with this, though, Kelsey. What is your knowledge base on the Addams Family?
The both movies made in the 90s. Like, I know everything about them forward and back as far as the movies themselves. I grew up with them. I watched them religiously, but I'm not very up to date with the original artist and concept drawings of the Addams Family. It was a comic, right?
So the Addams Family was started by Charles Addams in 1938, and it was part of the New Yorker. So it was these one-panel comics that, like, think of like The Far Side. You know what I mean? Like how it's just like one panel, it's something weird with like a caption underneath it, and that's the whole joke. So he was doing cartoons from 1938 until his death in 1988 consistently. He did over 1,300 cartoons for the New Yorker. 58 of them focused on the Addams Family. So not very small percentage ultimately, but they were predominantly during the 40s and 50s. He was doing these comics. He said that it was a satirical inversion of what the idealistic 20th century American family was. So it was a family that was like a wealthy, aristocratic group of family members, but they delighted in the macabre and were completely oblivious to the fact that other people were kind of turned off by their bizarre lifestyle. That was the concept of these comics. Now, I want to ask you, and I think you know the answer to this, but can you name the Addams Family members?
Yeah, we got Gomez, Morticia, Pugsley, Fester, and Wednesday. And then we have Lurch and Grandmama. Does she have a name?
Yep. I think she's just Grandmama.
And Thing.
And then there's
There's
Thing and Cousin It.
And Cousin, yeah.
None of these characters had names until the TV series in 1964.
Okay.
Yeah, so they were just these people just referred to them as like, oh, the father
Mom,
says
dad,
this
yeah.
or the mom says this. So it was when they were making the TV series that they did give the characters names. Charles Addams did have input on most of the names. A fun little fact that you will love is that he didn't really want the name Pugsley for the boy, but they rejected the name Pubert. So when they finally made Addams Family Values, they gave him his Pubert.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, you said Pubert. I was like, brr? I know that one. Oh, that's cool. I love when people, like, when movies or whatnot get kind of, like, recreated and they do little nods to original creators of, like, you never got this, so we'll give this to you. Or, you know, it's a respect thing in my mind.
I agree. So I have only seen tiny clips of the black and white Addams Family show. As I said, as far as the TV show life is considered, I was way more of a Munsters man. Now, the Addams Family of that time period, you had John Ashton playing Gomez Addams. And this is absolutely no disrespect to Raul Julia, who is fantastic.
He's so good.
I think I like John Ashton's Gomez just a tiny bit more. Are you familiar with like John Ashton at all? Like the actor John Ashton?
No, not at all.
Okay, so John Ashton probably is the person who reprised the role more than anybody. He played him on the original TV series. He voiced him in the 90s cartoon series based on the Addams Family, and he returned for a TV movie. But he has this way of talking. It's just the most chipper, optimistic voice imaginable.
It's
so,
very
like,
contradicting to like their whole morbid, which is actually I forgot. I have watched The Addams Family. It's just been a very long time. So when I just looked at his photo, I was like, oh, that's right. And I do like his Gomez. It's just very different.
Yeah, again, this is nothing against Raul Julia, who absolutely crushes it in the 90s. But there is something that I love about this absolutely the most chipper, happy person just delighting in the most macabre stuff is like, it is a perfect juxtaposition. Also, our Morticia Addams in this film in the show is played by Carolyn Jones, who was not like the world's biggest actress at any point, but she is near and dear to my heart because one of the first horror movies I ever really liked back when I was afraid of horror movies was a Vincent Price film called The House of Wax, where she played one of the first victims of Vincent Price's character. And she couldn't be more different in those two movies. In House of Wax, she's got like platinum blonde hair and she's got like a squeaky voice, like she's almost a parody of like a Marilyn Monroe meets a Betty Boop. And then Morticia Addams, she's got the dark hair and the very monotone delivery, and it really is a twist on the character. And then the only other big name worth mentioning was Uncle Fester, being played by Jackie Coogan. Just like I said in the Munsters episode, this also only ran for 2 seasons. So neither one of these shows was like runaway successes. They had the same amount of seasons, same amount of episodes. 64 episodes, 2 seasons. The time of these characters was quickly come and gone. The show was well received, though. People liked that it took like a less evil approach to the characters and kind of focused on some like light, more comedic elements. I would never say from like the few comic strips that I've seen that they were evil per se, but they definitely, the 90s movies got the macabre nature of them a lot better than the TV show of the 60s did.
The TV show definitely felt a little more overall lighthearted and kooky and happy, even though there's still humor in the 90s Addams Families, obviously, and they are funny. They have more of this dark, ironic, funny versus these are just people living in a macabre world, but they're like, hey, what's up, neighbor? Like, the 90s film, you would believe that people could die on the Addams property, where that is never a thing that you are worried about on the it's just
TV
more that
series.
They're bizarre, that you're like, what? Yeah, it literally, I mean, the theme song, they're kooky and they're creepy. Like, it is, they were much more kooky, where in the movie you're like, the fuck? Which I love that they did that and kind of made that more, if you will, like realistic, like they fully live in the macabre of death and dark and black and whatever, blah. But Yeah, one of my
So-
favorite memes I ever sent or GIFs is Wednesday Addams. She's like 3 or 4 in the TV show. She's baby, but she's
Yeah,
standing
she's-
next to
she's a
Lurch and she's
youngin'.
doing this little dance.
That led to the dance, the Lurch, which
That's
was
right,
like
that's
a
right.
dance.
Okay.
It was a popular dance
Like
in
a
the
whole thing.
60s because of the show. But then after 2 seasons, it got canceled. But in the 70s, the Addams Family reappeared in an episode of Scooby-Doo.
Love Scooby-Doo.
And then that led to them getting their own animated series in 1973 with an entirely different group of voice actors. I thought this was funny. The only person who came back to voice the character that they played on the TV show was the person who voiced Cousin It, which, like, as you know, is just like me.
The distant cousin of Beaker.
But it was like it was short-lived. I think it only got 1 season of this cartoon. But in 1977, and I love this, they made a TV movie called Halloween with the new Addams Family, which is an ironic title because it reunited the original cast of the Addams Family.
That's funny.
And this was the only time that the original cast was ever photographed in color. So this one 1977 TV movie, I didn't really find any reviews on like whether people like it or dislike it. It got like a VHS release, and then that's kind of it. I think it's just an artifact that you have to dig around the internet to find. After that TV movie, though, there is just nothing about the Addams Family throughout all of the 80s. And then all of a sudden, 1991 comes bubbling around.
Best year ever.
You act like someone important was born that year.
Yeah,
and
someone else
then
came bubbling around, and I was like, I'm here.
the Addams Family movie comes out. I was an immediate fan as a child of this film, and it was massive. To this day, the Addams Family pinball machine is the best-selling pinball machine of all time.
Really?
It's such a popular machine. If you go to any place that has pinball machines, you will almost definitely find the Addams Family pinball machine in there because they made, I think it was something like 2 million
What?
pinball machines were sold. It's absurd. It's an absurd number.
That's insane.
And it is a really fun pinball machine.
I can't tell you the last time I played pinball, Matt.
Oh, see, a couple years ago, my friends got real into pinball and taught me how to actually play it. Like, it is a game that can be beat like any other video game. So we used to go to, there's a place maybe 2 hours from me called Silver Ball, and you pay $25, and it's a pinball museum.
Oh, we
so
had
it's
one
all
in
these
Vegas.
pinball machines.
Yeah, there was one in Vegas.
Yeah.
I never went to it, though.
And it's all play as long as you want for the entire day. So we would go at like 10 in the morning and play until like midnight, just like jumping on all these different
What?
classic machines and
You're that guy.
trying to
Don't-
master them.
That
Yeah,
dumb,
no,
deaf, and blind
listen.
kid sure plays a mean
Play the mean
pinball. That's just me.
pinball. Yeah, my parents
I'm not
gave me the
actually
wrong
playing.
name.
I'm just on the side. He's a pinball wizard. He's got to. Okay.
And,
anyways.
and then you get bored like halfway through. You're like, can we go now? But not only was this pinball machine huge and this movie huge, it then led to a second animated series that ran from 1991 to 1992. And on that series, John Ashton returned to voice Gomez Addams for that short-lived series. And it quickly spawned the sequel, Addams Family Values, which, in my humble opinion, is one of the few times where the sequel is better than the original movie. I actually think Addams Family Values, I think they're both great, but Addams Family Values is a special kind of great.
I agree. I mean, Joan Cusack alone as Debbie is the best. Like
What about Debbie?
I love that when she's like, I wanted ballerina Barbie. They gave me Malibu. That's not who I was. That's not what I wanted. They had to go. I'm like, I can relate to you,
It's
Debs.
dark. It is way darker than the first movie. Like when we
Yeah.
were talking about the first movie, like that movie still has a little bit of an element of the 60s show where it's like, they're weird. Yeah, they're like cutting off limbs in school plays or whatever. But like, there's no real threat that anything truly bad is going to happen to anybody. But man, you get to part 2 and it's like, oh, they're burning down a summer camp.
I love.
Like they're
the
like
whole camp
wreaking
and
havoc.
like that cast is just too. It's so good, and yeah, the summer camp, like the one-liners that Wednesday has in the second movie are so much stronger than she ever got in the first. I don't know if it's also because she was a little older, and so, and it's even the beginning of the movie when they're waiting for Morticia to give birth and she's sitting there in the waiting room and the girl's like, and then the stork comes down and drops a diamond into the field and trying to explain where babies come from. And Wednesday just looks at her and, my parents had sex. And that morbid or just kind of like, all right, we're going to play lifeguard. I'll be the victim. All your life. Like those moments are just so good. I'm like, I love Wednesday's one-liners in the Valiant.
And that's why I'm really excited for this new Wednesday Addams show, because supposedly Christina Ricci has signed on to be part of the cast. Like in what capacity, no one knows.
Yeah, that's fun.
But she will be there. And I also, just side note, seeing the trailer, Jenny Ortega looks like she's going to absolutely crush it as Wednesday. This looks really good.
It'll be exciting.
But yeah, they have these two massive movies, and then, unfortunately,
cartoons.
This is around the time that Raul Julia dies.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were
going
to give a dig to the new. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I think that really stalled out the other films, because he really it's very rare that you find someone who in just two quick movies really establishes themselves as a character that will be hard to recast. You know what I mean? Like, another example I could think of is someone like Chadwick Boseman, where when he passed away, they're just like, well, we've got to kill the Black Panther and give us a new Black Panther, because he is so everything that character needed to be.
And I absolutely hate when movies, whether it be an actor passed away or if one just is like, this doesn't work for my career, and then they just bring in someone new and they're like, this is them, and you're like, no, it's not like The Mummy 3.
It only works with like a James Bond thing. You know what I mean? Like, that's like the only time it works.
And we've all accepted that it's just a new Bond. It's just a whole new, it's like a multiverse of, like, we just accept that. But when they're...
Well, like, and I love the fan theory that James Bond is just a code name that can be assigned to anybody. Like, it's like, oh, like the same as they carry 007, being Agent 007 means your name is also James Bond. And like, as one Bond leaves, a new one comes in.
Totally. Totally.
But they do try to keep the franchise going with a direct-to-DVD release called The Addams Family Reunion with, I mean, if you're going to have to replace someone, Tim Curry is not a bad choice to play your Gomez Addams.
I've never seen...
But it just...
What?
Yeah, it just doesn't work. It's not a good movie.
So don't watch it.
It was essentially made to be a pilot for a TV movie, like a new TV series that they were trying to do.
No one is the same cast, though. But the whole cast is different.
No, they completely recast everybody. So Daryl Hannah is Morticia Gomez. Morticia Addams.
Her a lot. God, 98.
The funniest thing about this particular movie is the actor who played Pugsley, right?
Jerry Messing.
Nothing too important about Jerry Messing, unless you're a person who's been on the internet for the last 20 years. Jeremy Messing is the Milady meme. The guy wearing the hat and tipping the hat is from one of his portfolio photo shoots, and someone found it. Yep.
It's awful.
And made it go viral.
This poor man.
But
he was in Freaks and Geeks.
But that is... Yes, he was in a bunch of stuff, but at the end of the day, he is the Milady guy now. That should have never been placed inside of a resume portfolio headshot, but here we are. But yes, that led to yet another live-action TV series that they made for Fox Kids in 1998. It's colorful.
That's what you want to be remembered by.
The franchise, as far as television and film, disappeared again after this. The straight-to-DVD movie didn't do anything. The TV show was not exactly a big success. But in 2010, two things happened simultaneously to put Addams Family back on the lips of everybody. First off, Tim Burton said that he was going to do a stop-motion Addams Family movie. This never actually happened. But also in 2010, around the exact same time that Tim Burton spoke of trying to do a stop-motion film, a Broadway musical of the Addams Family was released. I
saw that on Broadway with Bebe Neuwirth and Nathan Lane. I saw it.
Yeah.
It was great.
Won 2 Tony Awards and 8 Drama Desk Awards.
Yeah.
Maybe you can fill me in on this, because all I know about it is that a part of the plot is Wednesday Addams dealing with having a crush on a boy in school, and one of my favorite songs from a musical is in that, which is the song Pulled, that she sings early on in the film, where she's pulling Pugsley Addams in like a torture device. And it's like, I'm feeling pulled in a different direction.
Oh, yeah. You know what? It's honestly, Matt, it's been, how old am I?
About 10 years? 10 to 12 years.
13 years since I've seen it. It's when I lived in New York, and my friend Jason and I went and saw it together. And I remember being like, I love this. And I knew one of the dancers in it as well. She's a phenomenal Broadway dancer. But yeah, it was a fun time. And it is. It's about her falling in love. I think they end up getting like engaged, and so it's like his family's coming
just
over
a regular
to meet. It's just like a regular.
Yeah.
It's kind of a Hotel Transylvania, if you will.
Oh, look at that. Another Hotel Transylvania reference.
I know. I really like that movie.
We get a little bit of that plot line in Addams Family Values when she meets the boy at camp who's kind of normal. But this is a theme from the musical on. It is a constantly reoccurring theme. So in 2019, we did not ever get the Tim Burton stop motion film, but we did get the CGI animated movies. They are not very good.
I got 10
to be
minutes
honest.
through it, and I stopped it. I could not get through it.
It's not great. The only compliment I will give is that I do think that they get Wednesday correct for the most part in the movies. But that movie, I've only seen the first of the two. That first movie, her plot line is very similarly that she is just trying to fit in as a regular kid at school. It's if you want to put on something for your like 3-year-old kids, there's worse things that you could put on, but it is not going to be fun for you to watch. It just doesn't work. But now here we are, 2022. We're just a month away from the Tim Burton TV series Wednesday.
We'll see.
And I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too. I'll definitely watch it. Obviously, I'm a Tim Burton fan. I'm an Addams Family fan. I love the cast. So we'll have to, once it's out and we've watched it, just do a quick recap. Not in an episode, but maybe one of our outros. We can be like, let's just talk about, did you like it? And,
yeah, let's just talk about what we watched.
You forgot to mention one of the greatest things that came out of any Addams Family franchise, or probably the greatest work of art we got from this being created.
Oh, no.
And it is one of my favorites. It is the Addams Groove by MC Hammer. They do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play, dance how they want to dance, kicking a slapper for an Addams Family. Hey, hey, hey.
What would you do if you had the ability to sync minds with your best friend? A partner? Maybe even a stranger? Would you share the deepest part of yourself with them?
I can already read your mind.
Then what am I thinking about right now?
You're thinking about how much you want people to support our Kickstarter for our first feature film, Sync.
You're so right. If we raise the money, we can make an amazing sci-fi thriller about mind syncing and toxic relationships.
Support women in film and check out our campaign now. Just go to Kickstarter.com and search Sync, that's SYNC, or click on the link in our bio on social media, and follow us at FemRegard and at Sync the Movie.
Fem.
So, Gelsey, we learned about these characters, and they're creepy and they're kooky. They're mysterious and spooky. They're all together Ookey. They're the Addams Family.
Sounds like my family.
Do you have a personal favorite Addams Family member?
My gut instinct is to say Wednesday, because as a child, I just wanted to be her so bad. I have this photo of me at Halloween time. I was a little blonde, had a blonde bob, and I'm like 3 years old, and I asked my mom to make me Wednesday, and she made me a dead bride ghoul instead. And there's one photo that you can see at the very bottom. She put in 2 little ponytails that are like sticking out straight because my hair was so short. And I remember, I saw that photo and I remember it so clearly. That was her best attempt, because I was so pissed that I didn't have 2 long black braids. And she was like, fine, here's your little ponytails. And I was 3 and I was like, okay, I'm happy. And I'm fully ghouled out. So I always wanted to be Wednesday. But it's ironic that now as an adult, I'm like, maybe Morticia. And I was like, oh, have I grown up?
I think you've talked about before, like watching movies where you used to have a crush on the boy in the movie as a little girl,
dad.
and then you're watching, you're like, ooh, that dad.
Daddy. And I'm like, I'm in my 30s.
I think even as a child, I was really obsessed with Cousin It. Like, I was like, what is this thing? Like, yeah.
It is great. I do like
You
Cousin It.
you do a very good Cousin It
Thank you.
impersonation.
Thanks. It's,
That might be one of your top impressions. It's spot on.
Great. I mean, my beaker.
It's Cousin It, Rob Sterling. But then, like, you know how I always think about, like, when I watched Star Wars, even as a little kid, I was always obsessed with, like, the cantina scene, right? Because that's the scene where there's just all these monsters. To this day, I still think it's an amazing sequence. The ballroom
It's so
scene
good.
with the Manushka, and you're
I
meeting all
love
these different
that scene.
Addams Family members. Oh, it's so good because there's like, is his name Lurch? No, Lurch is there. What the heck is the one?
The one with
There's
the hump.
the one. Yeah, with the
that's
hump, and they're
dancing
like
with,
all
Wednesday.
grown up.
Yeah, I forget what his name is, but yeah.
Lumpy. They're like, oh, Lumpy
And I love
Addams,
Flora and
all
Fauna.
grown up.
I'm Fauna.
Yeah, I'm Flora. Yeah, like.
It is great.
It's that scene is incredible. And that's the one thing I will say. Addams Family Values, as fun as it is, has no scene that is as just visually stunning as how great that ballroom sequence is.
Morticia and Gomez have that like epic dance scene when they go out to dinner. And they do that.
But it's nowhere.
No, that scene was just so good. I mean, they light like a fire camp on fire and do a full musical Thanksgiving production. So I'll take that. I will never not take that. So it doesn't quite equate up to it, but like it's fine.
Well, if people want to tell us about some deep cut Addams Family member that we totally forgot about listing as the best Addams Family member, where can they go and let us know that?
Yeah, let us know on Instagram. You can find us at BeforeMyTime_podcast, or on Facebook, just search Before My Time. We will pop up. Let us know if there's an Addams member of the family that we missed that you're like, they are the best. Or you can just say, hey, what's up, Matt and Gels? Also, while you're here, if you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star review, and if you're really bored, just write in a couple nice words, because kindness is what makes this world go round. Thanks for listening. Each and every one of you make my day just a little brighter. Have a great one, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.